Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Take Back Control Tuesday. Now, I can't tell you what the outcome is going to be for each and every one of you, but what I can tell you is for the next hour and 40 minutes, the time we're going to spend together, if you apply what you learn, this will change your financial future. If you're here, that means you're ready for change. And tonight, that's exactly what we're gonna deliver. I've got a special guest for you. His name's Jason Sipple. He is a master of what you're gonna learn. But what are you going to learn? Well, Jason is gonna teach you three things. He's gonna teach you how to take back control of your money by being your own bank. And then he's also gonna teach you how to build wealth through your own debts and expenses. That'll be the second thing you learn. And the third thing you'll learn, hence the cars, you're gonna learn how to get all the money back for every single car that you ever buy, drive, and own. And before you get into it, one last favor, just click that button right there, the subscribe button. It would do me a huge favor. And also, right above is a little bell. Smash that bell so that every time I put new content out, you'll be notified. So I don't want to waste any more time. It's time for Jason to really show you all about the infinite banking concepts. Let's roll.
Take back control.
Tuesday night.
Tuesday?
Welcome, welcome. Who here wants more money? Who here wants more control of said money? And what do you all really want? Put it in the chat. Be interactive today. What do you all want? More freedom? I'm going to let you in on a little known fact that the wealthiest families, like the Rockefellers, Walt Disney, have been using a strategy called infinite banking for ages to build their empires. And the process, the strategy is simple, it's legal, and it's something that each and every single one of you have access to. And it all starts with just changing one thing, not two, not five, but one thing. It starts with paying yourself first. And shockingly, as I'm going to show you, most Americans, the average American, is giving away a big chunk of their money every time they get paid to the bank, to the government, and to Wall Street. And do you all want to know how you can recapture and recycle this money, bringing it back to your family? And again, it just starts with just changing one thing. Where does your money go first? So get ready as we dive into the infinite banking process, where you can make money with every car that you buy, you own, and you drive. And we'll uncover how you can turn your debts into assets, how banks make a fortune off your money, and why success leaves clues, like Tony Robbins says, and how you can apply these clues to change your financial future. And as many of you have heard this for the first time or have been here several times, I thought this was unbelievable. I thought that this was too good to be true. You know, as someone who was traditionally working 9 to 5, and now I'm on my own as an entrepreneur. And trust me, once you see how simple this concept is, you'll realize that there's financial freedom for you and your family. We're going to go through some real life examples, show you real applications that you can do right now, today. You don't have to wait. You can start using some of the things I will teach you in this webinar to put you in a position of wealth creation. And you might think, this is unattainable, but I promise you that's within your grasp to have it. So you guys ready to jump in and see what the wealthiest families have been doing that is legal, simple, the most important part, and that you have access to? So let's jump in. So I want you to imagine, we're going to go through some imaginations together today. I want you to imagine a room full of 100 18-year-olds. And I'm going to ask all of them, they're all gathered there about their future. They're all gathered there full of hope and inspiration and just big dreams. Remember being 18? Maybe some of you are 18. I remember. I put on in my yearbook, I live for my dreams in a pocket full of gold. Led Zeppelin lyrics. I live for my dreams in a pocket full of gold. And I asked those 18-year-olds, how much money, how successful are you going to be at retirement age? And before I even get the call on them, they're going to be jumping out of their seats and they're going to be screaming out, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to be a billionaire. I'm going to be the first single company or single person company billionaire in the world. They're going to be so sure of themselves. They're all of them. Every one of them thinks that everything is possible in that moment. But something happens, something shifts between that moment in that room with that 118-year-olds and fast forward to when they're 67 or they're at retirement age. Something happens where only 5 out of 100 will be financially secure. That doesn't even mean wealthy. 1 will be wealthy, 4 others will be financially secure. This shocking statistic from the Social Security Administration shows us that only 5 of 100 will be financially secure by retirement age. How is that possible? Why does that happen in the wealthiest country in the world? In the country where everything really is possible. We have so much opportunity here. How can it be that only 5 of those 18-year-olds, so full of hope, are financially secure at retirement age? Well, isn't that the same that all of us have experienced? Where we've been taught to give up control of our money, to assume the risk, to not really fully understand the game we're playing? Today, I'm going to show you, as we go through this, what the game is, how the game is actually created, and how you can change how you're playing the game. As Einstein said, I might say this twice during this presentation, first, we have to know the rules of the game, and then we have to play better than everyone else. And then this guy sums up what's happening in America better than any other single clue I've ever seen. The problem in America isn't what people don't know, it's what people think they know that just ain't so. Will's talking about our ego, folks. He's saying that we think we know everything. We think this is the truth, but I'm going to show you the truth. So a lot of the things we've been taught about money might not actually be true. So I'll need to ask you, to request of you, to keep an open mind. Because in this webinar, I'm going to challenge the way that you think about money, and I'm going to offer you a pathway forward if you're willing to accept. Can I get some eyes in the chat? We got anybody ready to go through this? Oh, am I breaking up? Is that better? Okay. You guys let me know if you get anything funny. I'm trying to look over at the chat as I'm going through, so I appreciate that. So who is this presenter? Who is this Jason Sipple guy? Why is he here talking about money with us? So I'm going to go in the Wayback Machine 4 years ago. I'm going to imagine the moment in my mind so I can go there physically, emotionally. I had, in about 3.5, 4 years, I had built a $25 million recruitment division for an equity-backed special education related services company called the Stepping Stones Group. Great company. We scaled it from 30 to 600 million. I found myself working harder than I have ever worked, doing something amazing in a leadership role, and also in a recruitment role as well. So not only leadership, but actually actively managing a desk, the biggest desk in this company. And I realized that what my parents taught me wasn't true. Showing up first, leaving last, working hard, being humble, and doing the right thing for everyone else all the time was not my path to financial freedom, because I was making what I was 5 years earlier, working 30 hours a week less without nearly the stress. And so I left. I went into peak performance. And I was just sharing this in a previous speaking engagement I was in right before this, where I built one of the top 5 coaches probably in the world, at least in his specific industry, in peak performance. I helped him scale his organization from 0 to $4 million during the first year of the pandemic. And I found myself in the back of a mastermind doing the exercises that many of you maybe have done before, where you're imagining what that future is like those 18-year-olds. And you're thinking what's possible, and you're going deep, and you're like, I'm going to make $5 million, $10 million, $50 million, whatever, 500,000, 100,000, whatever your number is. And you're dreaming and you're driving that certainty into your body. Everyone else is hyped. They're pounding on their chest. They're screaming. They're crying. They're clapping. They're high-fiving. They're fully engaged in what's possible. I started crying. I broke down because I felt like a failure. I was away from my wife and my two boys, and I was terrified. I was making 3 times less than I was with that $20 million, $25 million division I built for that equity company. And I was lost. I was lost financially. I didn't understand the game. I thought I could just outwork the system and live my life. And I realized I had a philosophy in that moment for being a father, what I thought was the best for my boys, what it was to be a husband, what it was to be a son, a boss, an employee, all the roles that I carried, but I did not have a financial philosophy. I avoided it. I was scared of it. It scared me. And so I turned to my mentor, the guy I just climbed the mountain with this weekend, Sleepy Bear Ripple. I turned to my buddy and I said, bro, I need a financial philosophy. And he handed me a book, which I'm going to show you on the next slide. He handed me a book that forever changed my life. So let's look at some of the people that you all might know that have been talking about what we're going to talk about today, the concept of infinite banking through whole life insurance. And so who are these people? Maybe the first guy, you guys will know this guy. You know, he has a rich dad and he has a poor dad, and they both taught him some great lessons. And he wrote this book, Robert Kiyosaki, called Second Chance. He talks about whole life insurance as part of your strategy, your financial process, not investment, your process to growing more wealth. And then there's the other guy. This guy also changed my life and made me leave corporate America because I realized that I was meant to do so much more. And Tony Robbins talks about this in Money Master the Game in section 5.2, I believe it is. Check that book out if you haven't read it. It's an amazing book. And then the book of all books, I believe, when it comes to finances, my partners might say it's The Richest Man in Babylon or other books, but I say this one is a book that every family, every person, every American should own, every Canadian too. Becoming Your Own Banker. Because he talks about the mindset, and he talks about the money, and he talks about the process, and he shows you what's actually happening. R. Nelson Nash in Becoming Your Own Banker. Unbelievable book. And then you have my partners, my esteemed partners, who have been teaching this longer than I knew about this. But both of these guys, Brent Kessler, who started the Money Multiplier, and Chris Naugle, his partner, wrote out Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery. Many of you have probably read that book, right? And it is a modern day version of Nelson's book. And then Chris wrote the Private Money Guide because, as I'm going to show you, once we have the capital, right? He who has the gold makes the rules is the golden rule. We have to know, how do we move the money to put our little green men to work? So again, I'm just asking all of you to keep an open mind today, to embrace the things you don't know, and to write stuff down. Don't take notes, make notes. Okay? And let's take a quick moment, because we're talking about mindset now, to talk about this intriguing concept called the backwards bicycle. And thanks, Tess, they are all great books. So we're going to talk about this intriguing concept, the backwards bicycle. And I want to ask you all, who learns quickly, right? Who learns quickly? Pop in the chat. Who learns quicker than us? Kids, right? Kids. Remember being a kid? For those cyclists out there, remember getting on your first bike, mom or dad or your brother or sister helping you? And what happens? You push the pedals forward, the bike goes forward. You turn the handlebars right, the bike goes right. You turn the handlebars left, the bike goes left. What if it didn't work like that? What if your bike didn't work the way you learned how it actually worked when you were a kid? What if you got on the bike like this engineer? When you go watch this video on YouTube, the backwards bicycle, it's well worth your time. I'm just not going to spend 20 minutes showing it to you right now. But what would happen if you turned to the right and the bike went left, or you turned to the left and the bike went right? How many of you here, get some eyes in the chat, how many of you here think you could ride a backwards bicycle? I'm a cyclist. I ride a few times a week, have ridden tens of thousands of miles. My ego says I can do it, but I know that all of you would kindly wait till you made sure I was okay after I fell down to start laughing, because that's what would really happen in reality. I could not do this because my pattern in my brain tells me that if I turn right, it's going to go right. And if I turn left, it's going to go left. So learning something new can be incredibly challenging to change. And the same goes for money. We've been conditioned to think a certain way about money. But what if that way, I've already mentioned this, is wrong or suboptimal? We don't even have to make it wrong. Make it suboptimal. It is not the highest use or most optimal use of our minds. Shifting your mindset on this, like riding a backwards bicycle, can be difficult, but it's not impossible. So write this down. Please, every one of you, grab a pen, paper, pencil, marker, crayon, whatever you like writing with. I got some big old fat markers here that I like. Write down, give yourself permission to acknowledge that you might not know how to do this. And the most operative word is yet. I give myself permission that I don't know how to do this yet. That's right. Curiosity. So why aren't more people, that's a new word. Why aren't more people successful with money? Think about those 118-year-olds. What are the mysteries of money, right? You have the wealth killers, which are taxes, inflation, volatility of the market. We lost what, $1.4 trillion 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago? And then interest, the silent wealth killer. Interest, the silent tax on all of us, is printing money. And then on the other side, right, we have the math, which I talked about, taxes, inflation, volatility, interest, and the mindset. People following the status quo, doing what our broke-ass brother-in-law taught us, doing what our favorite uncle or aunt, or maybe just a neighbor who seemed to have all their money together told us once upon a time, or a friend. Following the status quo, being a sheeple, just doing what everyone else is doing. Put your money in the bank. Put your money in a qualified plan, a 401k. Do what grandma taught you. And then the fear of failure or the fear of rejection. Those are the only two fears. You follow the status quo because you don't want to be rejected. Fear of failure, fear of rejection. Then you have life, you have change, you have the certainty that things will change always. This is what we're taught. So let's go through a financial philosophy that I'm going to offer to all of you that I adopted that has changed everything. There's more to be had from avoiding the losses than picking the winners. Anybody like that? There's more to be had from avoiding the losses than picking the winners. And let's go through some of the mysteries of money. This is an interactive section. So the more that you're writing in the chat, the more you're interacting, unless you're using your big crayons to write in your notebook. That's cool too. Let's talk about first. Let's just start with defining money. What is the definition of money? Please answer in the chat. Say it out loud. Say it to yourself. What is the definition of money? There we go. We got some really knowledgeable people with Brenda and Tess. Money is nothing more than a means of exchange. Why? Think back in ancient times, the barter system. It was pretty hard. Like if you want to trade a goat for a, cattle or a duck or whatever it was, you had to bring said asset with you. So we came up with money, and we came up with tangible money, gold and silver, right? God's money. It's nothing more than a means of exchange, and money has to stay in motion. So we give money for car, car for money, money for bread, bread for money, money for house, house for money. Next question. You guys rock that one. Next question. What company uses compound interest? You guys are thinking of one. You're thinking of one where you might store your money now when you get paid or earn money. You're thinking, Jason, it's banks. Yes, banks pay you interest on the money you deposit, but they're not paying you compound interest because it gets interrupted. There's no business in the world that is paying you compounding interest except one. They are, right? So think of this. If you put a $20, your name on a $20 bill, a $100 bill, and you go to the teller and you hand them the money, they're not walking back to your special lockbox, are they, Judy? They're not going back to Yvonne's lockbox and sticking the money in there. And then when you go back to get that money, they're going to pull out that same 20 or 100 with your name on it. No, that money has to stay in motion. It's a law of nature. It is God's law. It's like our bodies. If our bodies aren't moving, what happens? We break down, we get old, we get fragile. We have to move. You don't eat fish from a stagnant pond. You want that to be what? From a flowing river, from an open, clean body of water. It's the same concept with our money. It's a law of nature. Here's a good one. This one, remember everyone, we're keeping it simple. My last name's Sipple, keeping it simple. Are your dollars worth more now or in the future? Worth more today or in the future? Okay, we got, you guys get this. You know it. They're worth more. They're worth more today. And if you need help with this concept, think about when you were a kid, no matter how old you are, maybe you're my age, I'm gonna be 50 this year, right? When I would go to we called it the general store, it's where you can buy bait and hoagies and all the other stuff. It was basically like Grumpy Old Men, that if you've ever seen that movie, but you could go buy a Snickers bar, which is my favorite, or maybe a Mounds bar or Almond Joy. You could buy multiple bars for $1. I could give them $1 and I could get at least one, if not 2 or 3 candy bars, right? Like 50 cents a candy bar. Today, you go to your local grocery store, for us here in Florida, Publix, you can't buy a Snickers for $1. They're like $2.50 or $3 per bar. So your dollars are worth more today than they're going to be in the future, because why? Inflation. Okay. Next one, taxes. Are they going up or down in the future? Up or down in the future? Or do you want to pay money, right? Would you rather pay on the seed or the harvest? This is another way to ask the same question. If you go to usdebtclock.org, you can see that right now, and by the way, everything I'm saying, I'm super honest, super likable, but don't take my word for it. Do your own research, do your own thinking, research what I'm telling you, write it down and Google it and say, yeah, Jason got that. Or let me know if you find something that I'm saying that you feel is inaccurate, right? But if you look at the usdebtclock.org, we're $34+ trillion with a T, trillion dollars in debt. Holy smokes, that's crazy. That's crazy. Imagine if you're a family with $34 trillion in debt, right? You would be freaking out. But if we look 2 years from now, 2026, we're going to be $44 trillion in debt. Uncle Sam does not create money. Uncle Sam's relationship is a parasitic one with us. I love Uncle Sam. I love Eagles. I love the United States. I don't like the Eagles from Philadelphia. I love the United States, but I know that Uncle Sam is going to have to get that money somewhere. Where is he going to get it from, folks? He's going to get it from us. And he's either going to tax us more, higher taxes, but that has us feeling like we're going to revolt and not vote for that person election year. So he's either going to do that or what? He's going to cast a bigger net. He's going to cast a bigger net and tax us on more things. So taxes are going to go up. So I want you to use your valuable money today to pay taxes today when you know what the rates are, so you can use your more valuable dollars for the future, right? That are going to grow. And then the last one, what do you guys know about your retirement accounts? And I got an EAGLES, Eagles. Nope, I'm a Niners fan, but I've been to that. I know you Eagles fan. You guys are crazy, so I'm going to watch out for Anthony. What do you know about your retirement account? Most people, if you're like me, you go in, you meet with your advisor once a year or twice a year, and they ask you, hey, you did really good this year. They tell you first, hey, great job, acknowledge you. You put all this money into your qualified plan. Congratulations, fist bump, boom, boom. Yeah, all right, bro. Like, what are you trying to do? What's your life about? And then the next thing they know, when they say, oh, I want to retire in 10 years. Oh, well, okay. Well, how do you feel about taking on more risk, Mr. Sipple? What? What are you talking about? I don't gamble. I don't gamble at all. Like, I get upset when I don't win on a $1 scratch off, right? So I don't gamble. I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean more risk? Well, if you don't want to take on more risk, how do you feel about retiring 20 years later? Whoa, Mr. Advisor, are you listening to me? I said I want to retire in 10 years. What's the path to get there? I'm putting everything I can into a retirement account. If you guys don't understand intimately what's happening in your retirement account, then take a hard look at what you're doing with your money and maybe consider a different approach. I'm gonna leave out my partnership conversation with Uncle Sam because I went a little bit deep on some of the other ones. And I understand this is a lot to absorb, but I want you to start seriously thinking. That's the operative word, thinking, and thinking for what? For the long term. Those are the two things I want you guys to have the biggest takeaway. Thinking. I want us to think about, what do you do with your money? What are you doing today? And what are you going to do tomorrow? What might you change tomorrow? Because you've been taught a traditional way of thinking about money. But to truly understand generational wealth, I'm going to challenge these old concepts and help you understand how money truly works. So the money multiplier method, what is this touted method that's helped 15,000 plus families become financially free and on the pathway to where I'm going to show you right now? Is it complicated, do you think? Complicated? No. It's simple, super simple. Number one, we're going to talk about the machine. And the machine is not a mystery because I'll tell you exactly what it is here shortly. I'm going to show you what the machine is that you must use to make this method work. It's a method, it's a process. And then we're going to talk about a marathon. Oh, fast forward. We're going to talk about a marathon. Now, this guy, Jason, he only runs marathons either up mountains or after he gets off a 112 or 114 mile bike ride, depending on the race. But it's long-term thinking. So I want you guys to think this is going to take some time. You're building a new business. And then finally, everyone's favorite topic is going to be the millionaire. We're going to map out this mystery like Brent and Chris's book, Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery. And I'm just going to show you by changing just one thing. Remember, simple, one thing. How do you multiply that to become so much more? And the machine is nothing more than a dividend paying whole life insurance policy from a mutually owned company. Now, I've already spilled let the cat out of the bag before we got here. So you guys already knew we were going to talk about insurance because I wanted you, if you were going to run out of the room screaming, I wanted to be done and over with, right? I wanted you out the door before I got to this part. Now we're already well into this, and I'm about to show you what the typical American does, how banks make their money, how you can make money with every car you drive by and own, and how you can recapture and recycle your debt and truly map out the millionaire mystery. And I'm going to do a fun exercise. So grab your pen and paper, draw a T like this. Draw a T. That's what I mean. Looks like a cross, right? Or a lowercase t. Draw a T on your paper. Top left, you're going to write bank. I'm going to go kind of fast here. Top right, you're going to write policy. The bank, the policy. Under both, you're going to write liquid. Pop it in the chat if you know what I mean by liquid. What do I mean? Not like water, but kind of like water. What do you guys think? Liquid means you have access. It's not locked up in financial prison until you're 59 and a half. Under bank, write 0.07%. If you have a high yield savings account, write down that number. I don't care. 3.5%, 4%, 4.1, 4.5, 5. Write down the percentage that you're earning on your money. Yes, Yolanda, cash flow. And under policy, 3.25% guaranteed. Say it again. That feels good. Guaranteed. Okay? That's guaranteed contractually for the rest of your life. Check out, Anthony, your statement on your bank and find out if that's guaranteed 4.25% for as long as you keep that money there. If it is, let me know. I'd like to know that. Under bank, taxable. All of that growth that Anthony gets, which is awesome, Anthony, at 4.25% is taxable, bringing him down in the 3%. Again, probably 3.5% or so, right? So he's thinking, Anthony's saying, okay, I'm still ahead of this policy, still ahead of the guaranteed, even with the taxes in there. The policy, tax-free growth, tax-free growth, tax-free loans, tax-free distribution, tax-free. Tax advantaged is the more accurate, but tax-free. The bank's unstable. Jason, what do you mean by unstable? Well, think back to the beginning of 2023. Think about where the Governor Newsom of California had all of his money, the Silicon Valley Bank, or a lot of his money. The bank went bankrupt. The government, the FDIC, bailed him out, right? Because banks don't actually have our money there. This is a fractional reserve banking that someone mentioned before in the chat. So then we had other banks follow in New York and the Midwest, like for 16, 18 months in a row. Now, I don't know if we've seen any recently because we're in an election year. Things will seem a little bit more stable, but banks are unstable just by the nature of how they lend money. Policy, stable. This particular example I'm giving, the company has been in business, open doors for 148 years, profitable every single one of those years. Think about that. Think about all of the things. Is that impressive? Anybody impressed? 148 years profitable. Would you like to own a business or be an owner in a business that was profitable every single year? I think that's pretty special. We're talking Great Depression. We're talking the need for the federal. We're talking longer than the tax code. We're talking the 2008 housing crisis. All those things. That is impressive. And then the bank is unprotected. You know, if you have a business and someone gets hurt on your property or something happens and you're sued, if the person has a good attorney, that money can be accessed by liens and judgment. Under policy, it's protected against liens and judgment. So look at this. So far, we have access to the money, right? It is accessible. It is tax-free, guaranteed, contractually guaranteed growth. I love that word, guaranteed. It is tax advantaged or tax-free growth. It's in a stable environment where it is where the banks, oh, I ruined the punchline. It's a stable environment and it's protected. Those are the living benefits. And now we have under bank, all that money that we have growing at 4.25%, 0.07%, whatever that high yield or regular savings account is giving us. Does it give your family anything else? Do you get, if you pass away, is there any other guarantee? No, right? But under policy, this is our second guarantee. If you love somebody in your family or something, then you're in the right place. If you're not, you might want to stop watching me. But the second guarantee is the tax-free death benefit, There you go. Thank you, Anthony. So you put that right in there for everyone to learn together. That's awesome, Anthony. Thank you for doing that. And so it gives you the interest rate, our variable may change at any time of our discretion. What if the contract said guaranteed for your whole life? Imagine that, Anthony. That was so cool, man. Thank you for doing that. Again, super cool. Now everyone can actually see the language I tell you, like that is checking the facts. And so now the pop quiz, you guys didn't know this was a quiz, did you? I feel like I should have some Jeopardy music playing. So where do the banks keep their money? Pop it in the chat. Where do the banks keep their money? Where do the banks keep their money? You guys didn't know it was a quiz? Take a guess. You got a 50-50, right? In insurance. Banks have quadrupled the amount of whole life they've purchased since 2013. Banks, as of last time I checked Google, Uncle Google told me that banks have $202 billion in cash-rich whole life, right? So when we talk about, Tony Robbins says, success leaves clues, don't you think that that success he's talking about, the banks are giving us the indication of where to keep our money? So like someone like you, Anthony, once you look at this and say, hey, which side has more optimal advantages for my system, we're going to see it's the policy. So here's a fun one. I'm going to be Jason, the honest banker. I'm going to go kind of fast here. This one, if you lose me, this is one you can go get your own calculator, a time value money calculator, a future value calculator, and do the same thing. So we're going to imagine that we have, I'm going to use you, Tess. Actually, I'm going to use you, Anthony, because you already showed me that you have discipline. So we got Anthony, our buddy Anthony from here. Anthony has been storing, right? It's at 4%, but actually if I could change the slide, I'd show it at Anthony's rate at 4.25%. He's storing his 25 grand in my bank. I am Jason the banker. Anthony comes in. Nice to see you, Anthony. How are the wife, the kids? How's life? What's going on? Good to see you. And Anthony's like, Jason, I'm going to buy this car. I've been eyeballing this car. It is so cool. Cool color, interior. It's got everything I want. I need my money, man. I was like, whoa, Anthony, hold on. What if I could give you a loan. I know you're earning 4.25% on your money or 4% on your money. Either would work, by the way, folks. I know that mathematically. I'm going to keep your money, Anthony. It's going to keep growing uninterrupted compounding interest in this account. I'll guarantee this for 5 years. I'll give you a loan for that vehicle for 6% for 60 months. And at the end of the time, Anthony, what's so cool is you're going to make money by borrowing at 6 while I pay you 4. Okay? Borrowing at 6 while I pay you 4. Am I an honest banker? Can you believe me? Am I telling you the truth? Yes or no in the chat. Am I telling Anthony the truth? He's going to leave his money with me earning 4% compounding and paying 6% on a loan. Anthony has the right idea, but the wrong answer. I'm actually telling him the truth. Look at the math. At a monthly payment of $483.32, that future value is $28,990. Let's look at what happens to your 25 grand at 4%. Future value $30,525. Now, I'm in Orlando and I don't know where you guys all are in the world, but $30,000 I'm pretty sure is more than $28,000 or call it $29,000. You've actually made $1,526. Like if you're buying a Ferrari or a Focus, just add a zero. Now you've made $15,000 if you add zeros to these numbers, folks, right? And so this is challenging the way that we've been conditioned to think about money. And it's time to really understand how money really works. Now, I'm giving you all permission. You don't know this yet. It took me 19 times in probably a 4-hour block where I could not figure out this. I saw this, my mentor present this. I saw Brent present this. I've seen others present this, and I'm like, I don't get it. 6, right? 4% is less than 6. That's -2. It doesn't work. Well, when you actually do the math, it works. It's super important to understand what is your money doing in that moment. Remember when I told you earlier about the banks? Remember when I told you that this bank, this super generous bank, is paying you 4%? You put your 100 grand in there, 10 grand, 100 grand, $1 million. The bank, is that money that you put into a bank, is that an asset or a liability to the bank? It is a liability. It's a liability. The bank in their fractional system does not keep money in the bank. If you go rob the vault, there's no money in the bank, very little money. That's why the bank robbers are probably no longer really robbing banks anymore, at least not that I know of. So what's the bank do first? They're going to lend the money out to someone purchasing a home at 7%. It goes to the seller, comes back to the bank. We have to deposit the money somewhere, right? And then what are they going to do next? That same money, right? Your $100,000 goes to this home, comes back to the seller, goes out to someone buying a car. And they're going to charge a little bit more interest because it's a shorter period. Goes to the car dealer, comes back in. Now it goes out for a home remodel, 9%. Goes around, comes back in. Every time, look how it's going. It's going around in a circle, right? And now the bank's like, where can we make a bigger spread? Remember all the people that work in the banks that are vice presidents because of bank-owned life insurance? Well, now they're lending it out 12%. Comes back in, paid to the credit cards. Let's look at the spread the banks make on your money. 7 minus 4 is 3, okay? 8 minus 4 is 4. 9 minus 4 is 5. Sometimes I get nervous doing this math in front of y'all. And 12 minus 4 is 8. We add all these up, we get 20. So, is the bank making 5 times what you're making? Like, you're like, hey, the bank's making 20%. I'm making 4%. That's not that bad. That's really 500% more. 500%. On average, go to BauerFinancial.com and pull this up. Pull up any bank you want to know this year, last year, 20 years ago. The banks are making 400 to 1,300% on the money that you're leaving. Anthony, your money that they're paying you 4.25%, I'm just using you because you were so kind to share all this stuff. They're making 400 to 1,300% on Anthony's money, on your money, on Jason's money. Anybody that has money in a bank, they're making that much money. So every time you go to the bank, they're always giving stuff away, right? Bags, pens, toasters, a long time ago, but now it's too expensive. But my son who comes with me, he loves the suckers, right? The lollipops. And I used to like the root beer one. I don't think they make them anymore. He always wants cherry or grape or the one that turns your tongue blue, maybe raspberry, blueberry. But when you take the wrapper off and you read it, it says dum-dums. The banks are telling us what they think about us. Maybe not, but I think that's something to help you think about what's happening. And yes, Deborah, there'll be a replay. We'll send that out to you as well. It'll be on YouTube as well, edited. So now we're going to look at our annual pattern of spending. I'm going to start going a little bit more rapid, but you guys, are you seeing the patterns? How we've been taught to give up control over money, to assume the risk. Now let's look at what the average American's doing. And none of you are average, by the way. First of all, you're here. So I want to acknowledge that. You guys are investing your most valuable asset, more important than your money, which is your focus, your time, and your energy here. So congratulations. Every American, on average, for the last 40 plus years, spends an average of 20 cents of every dollar on an automobile. The next 30 cents of every dollar goes to the housing. The next 40 cents goes to everything else. All of our lifestyle, all of our fun, all of our dinners and dates and things we like to do. Walking up mountains, right? Everything else. Savings, 10%. And that's being super generous, right? Because right now, the average rate of savings in the US, look this up, is less than 3%. Less than 3%. So that means we're saving 3 cents of every dollar. That's crazy. Super crazy. And now let's look at the interest. This is what we're really talking about. We're not talking about the principal as much, but we're talking about the interest. So now with automobiles, we're paying an average of 5 cents, 5%, right? 5 cents of every 20 is going to the interest. I think it's even a little higher now with rates being, 6, 7, 8, 9% on vehicles. Imagine if you shifted that to your savings. All right. So now you've gone from 10 cents to 15 cents of every dollar. Okay, just do the math along with me. In the housing example, if you've bought a house in the last 5 to 7 years, do not, promise you won't be happy if you do this, but do not go look at your statement. Do not go see that you're giving 70 to 80% to that mortgage company. Okay, 25 cents of every dollar for the first 7 years at least. Everything else gets about 5% or 5 cents, and we're shifting this to our savings, right? You add that up, you went from 10 cents, now you're saving 45 cents of every dollar. Would that be valuable to all of you to make 35 cents more? And Kenny, watch the YouTube if you guys can't hear me. If the voice is muffled, I'm using this speaker that usually works really good. So, and now let's talk about we're going to lift the hood of the machine. And we're going to talk about how you get the money back for all the cars and trucks you ever buy, own, and drive. And most people are going to think about the whole life policy as payment. But I'm going to offer you, it's not a premium, it's a deposit. And we're not really going to talk about the age, and we're not going to talk about the death benefit. So let's look under the hood. So in this example, I'm going to show you that you're going to buy that $25,000 car. Remember, it could be a Ferrari, just add a zero. It works with any numbers. And we're going to deposit $10,000 a year for 7 years, okay? And now, after 3 years, we've built up enough capital to buy the $25,000 car. We're capitalizing our system. We're thinking long-term. And then we're going to turn around and we're going to be the honest banker, right? Because now we've purchased the car with our system. And we're going to pay ourselves back $500 a month times 12 is $6,000 a year. And so at the end of this time, at the end of 7 years, we've made $70,000 in premium deposits. We've paid ourselves back $30,000 with interest. So we've made $5,000 in interest, and our cash accumulation keeps going up. So at the end, we've deposited $100,000 in those 7 years. We've took a loan for $25,000. We have $75,000 left, right? Or that's a $75,000 difference. Look at the cash value, folks. We still have $67,000 left in that account, meaning that we have recaptured 91 cents of every dollar. Now we're going to do something crazy in the next section. We're not going to make any more deposits after year 7, but we're 5 years into a car. Our kids have mucked it up. They've got their lollipop, all sticky fingers all over the windows and the seat. And it's stinky. It's smelly. We want that new car smell again. So we're going to buy another car, $25,000. We're going to pay ourselves the same way. We're going to use that cash value. We're going to buy that car, pay it back to ourselves, and we're going to see now we've deposited 30,000 more into the account. We've made that loan again, right? And the cash value has went up to $91,000. So if you just subtract these two, we've actually, in those years, we put $5,000 into the system, but now we have $23,000 total cash value increase, right? So now we've actually made money with the second car by keeping that interest in our system. Think how much better that would be if you actually put the additional $10,000 a year into it. You'd have so much more growth in cash value. But I'm just showing you these three rules here, which are simple. Pay ourselves first. Pay ourselves first, as if your life depends on it, because it does. Right now, follow God's commandments. Follow number 1, love God, heart, mind, soul. Number 2, love thy neighbor like thyself. Number 1, God. Number 2, us, you. Love yourself. 3, neighbor. Most people go 1, 3, 2, right? God, neighbor, self. What we have left over. We're just switching the one thing. 1, 2, 3. You got that? Is that pretty easy? Pay ourselves first. 2, pay yourself with interest. That is the system of being an honest banker and recycle and recapture your money, keeping it all in your family. So if this works for that truck or a car, what else could this work for? Right? You guys are smart. It could work for anything. Now let's look at a debt. Let's look at a situation. We're going to take a chiropractor. Brent started as a chiro. I'm going to take this chiropractor and we're going to look at his debts. Look at all that debt, right? That's pretty normal. Pretty normal in America now. I talk to a lot of people, like 2,500 people. That's a pretty normal amount of debt. Some have more, some have less. So just imagine your numbers here, okay? Imagine that this doctor, this chiro, is paying $5,777 a month for his house, his condo, his boat, his Beamer, a private loan, probably to fix up the condo, Wells Fargo card, Nordstrom's, Lowe's, and Discover. $69,000 a year he's paying. It will take him 19 years to pay this off the way he is paying it now. And it shows you a number of payments left, okay? Now, this chiro is saving 25 grand a year. So it's an actual client. This is what we did for him. We showed him, let's put 25,000 into a policy. Just pull out the immediate amount in the first 30 days. And let's put that towards your debts and recapture and recycle. This is what we will show you how to do. We'll actually give you a teammate to show you how to do this as you go through the process. If this is where you are at, just remember this works for everything. So now year 1, he's recaptured $448 a month, which is almost $6,000 a year, okay? Year 2, he pays that premium deposit of 25 grand again. He now, look, his number increased to 16,000. He's paid himself back to 5374. Add those together. 21 grand, knock out Nordstrom, Wells Fargo, private loan. Now it's going to add an additional amount of surplus money. Almost, what's that? 24 grand a year almost that he's paying back, just a little less. Year 3, he's going to make that deposit again. Look, he's already at an efficiency point where the amount he puts in is giving him more back. Payments are now $23,000 back to himself. Knocks out the BMW and the boat. So now he has taken over ownership of these 2 loans, which adds an additional amount of money. So now he's up to $3,600 and change a month coming back to his family in principal and interest. And so we're looking at how much do we put in? Remember, it's a marathon. How much did we put in? 25 grand the first year, 25 the second, 25 the third, 75,000. The loans we took out, 14,000, 16,000, 25,000, 55 grand. How much is left in the policy? You guys are good at math. 75,000 minus 55,000. Do we have 20,000 left? No, we don't. We have 75,000 left. All that cash value is still earning you a guaranteed interest of 3.25% in today's example, plus a dividend most likely, right? Not guaranteed, but you're probably earning 5 to 6% on that money while you're using that money tax-free. Let's go to year 4. How long do you guys think? Pop in the chat. How many years is it going to take less, how many years less than 19 years is it going to take for this Cairo to pay off all of his debt? This year, makes another deposit. Now he wasn't able to pay anything off in this year. So now we're just going to fast forward to year 5. Same thing, makes a deposit, has $71,000 that he has coming back for his payments and his premium deposit. He's going to pay off the condo and part of the house. Okay. Now in year 6, at some point, now he can only put so much into his policy because of the MEX 7 pay rule. So he's at the point, this doc is at the point where he can't fit all the money that he has available that he's recaptured back in. So he's going to expand his banking systems. Now he's made his $10,000 deposit. It's given him a cash value of $13,000. That's where that number's coming from for that year, for that original policy. And now he's starting a second $25,000 a year policy. He's expanding his banking system, his profitable system. And that's going to give him that original $14,863 in policy 2. He's recaptured 54 grand. That's that 4456 or 4556 times 12. 82 grand. I know it's a lot of numbers, folks, but look at this. 6 years in, he's recaptured $5,777 back to his family. So I talked about how you'll have the teammates. Remember, we're just teaching you how to fish, the money multiplier. We teach you how to fish. I ain't going to fish for you. I get too bored fishing, honestly. I'm working on patience as my 3rd year of this year, or word of this year, adventure, impact, and now patience. But you're going to get a teammate, a concierge team, as you're going through. Once you do a paramedical, we'll have someone map this out. They will show you what's the most mathematically optimal way, whether it is the avalanche, the snowball, paying the highest interest first, and then they're going to apply your design, your specially engineered whole life, cash-rich whole life, to the plan and show you how long it's going to take to pay all the debts, to pay yourself back, and to be completely debt-free. And then you're going to learn how do you move that money. That's another skill. And then we assign, once you have a policy in place, knowledge isn't power. It's the application of knowledge that's powerful. And this is why I partnered with the Money Multiplier, why myself and my buddy Yoda back there, right? There is no try. We do or do not. When you have your infinite banking and your approval, and now you're an owner in a mutually owned dividend paying whole life company, you get an implementation specialist. You get a student driver for your new banking system that you're going to be told or shown how you can take out a loan, how to pay back a loan, how you can get the new banking system up and running. And I see all the questions coming in, guys, so I will get to as many as I can after this. And you have an opportunity to ask me questions directly as well. So I think that progress equals happiness. That's just my take on life. When we make progress on something, whether it's losing weight, repairing a relationship, our spiritual relationship, whatever it might be, I believe that progress equals happiness. So I want you to think right now that yes, you can. And how do you, this is one of my favorite old dad jokes, how do you eat an elephant? Right? How do you eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time. And you have to get creative. You're going to have elephant steaks, elephant salads, elephant stew, elephant burgers. Elephant, think of what else you can make, because it's going to take you a long, long time to eat that elephant. You guys are seeing this. The man at the top of the mountain didn't just fall there. And I can attest to that. I walked up a mountain 8 times the other day for over 29,000 feet of elevation gain, which was the height of Everest. So that's a fun event. And once you become your own banker, like, you can answer this question, right? The verb of banking, not the noun of becoming a bank. The optimal word is banker, the verb, because you're opening a second business that you need to learn and have someone walk you through how you do it. And this machine works for everything. So when we ask you, is it possible to owe no man nothing? If this works for debt and expenses, what will it not work for? It works for everything. We're only limited by our imagination, rethinking our thinking. So I'm going to go through that same Cairo. Look, if he kept paying that home back as promised, being an honest banker, 879, remember we're mapping out the millionaire mystery? Now look what happens. Add those numbers together. $500,000, right? $500,000 he's paid back. Wait, it gets better. Now you add the interest earned, And now look, $750,000. Like he's well with the money he's recapturing this. Now you know everything you need to know on how to do this. It doesn't matter if you're making, you know, $10 an hour or $10,000 an hour. You need to know how to do this and to apply this to your life, right? Get in the business of making money. And we didn't talk a lot about the death benefit, the loans never having to be repaid, even though we teach you how to be an honest banker, repay them, how it grows tax-free, and how most policies are exempt from liens and judgments fully in most states. Some, like New York, California, not as much, but you're still protected more than you are in a regular old conventional bank. Like our buddy Warren said, like who has $277 billion sitting in cash right now, last time I looked at least. If poor people would just do what rich people would do, they wouldn't be poor anymore. So what are the richest doing? They're using cash value whole life. Why? Why wouldn't you? Only one or two things is going to happen. We're either going to live or what? We're going to graduate. We're going to die. We're going to shuffle off. Whatever your preferred method of talking about death is. Are we better with or without this? Are we better off with or without? With, right? So I appreciate each and every one of you for you lending me your most valuable resource, your time, your energy, your focus. You're doing what 95% of people will never, ever do. And a decision's here for you. Will you take ownership and radical action, or will you not? And here's the reality. Some of you won't, and that's okay. It's okay. Keep learning, or just tuck this away in your knowledge bank and go back to your life. But you have everything that you need to know to change your family's financial future for the better. To go 1, 2, 3, right? Change one thing. If you want to know how to do this more and have a conversation with me, and so I can meet you where you're at financially, mindset-wise, and help you map out your millionaire mystery, book a call with me. Right there is my scheduling page. Let's see if I can grab it. You guys are awesome. You've been so interactive in the chat. It's been so fun. Guys, thank you all for all the kind words. So people are asking me what is the maximum? Like, how much do I need to start this? That's probably the most common question I get. And I always say it depends. It depends on how much are you saving. Like if you're making good money and you're not saving anything, I would want to have you financially weigh in and see where you're at and see if there's some financial leakage. Like how can we get you to a number where you're reaching your goal? Yes, my teammates, some other people will tell you, hey, it's 10 times your age. Unless you're over 60, then it's 15 times your age. There's numbers for you, but it doesn't make sense. Like if you're 24, but you're making $50,000, $60,000 a year and have low cost, low expense, not much debt other than student loans, does it make sense just to put $240 a month into this, or, roughly $2,500 a year? And that over 10 years is like 25 grand. It's going to take you a long time to build and capitalize a system. One is think long-term, the principles. Two is capitalize your system. Don't be afraid to. So if you're not able to put more in, it's always a good time to get started. But if you're not able to put more in, maybe the question is, how can I add more value and create more money? How can I create more money? Start asking yourself that question. We got one on the car example. Jerry, I'll send you out the video to kind of explain that. I'd love to go back through it. Come next time I'm doing this, and I'll show you kind of the math on that as well. Just MEC means modified endowment contract. That's when your policy becomes a qualified plan, meaning that Uncle Sam is now your business partner again. And then we've never, by the way, we design everything that's not going to MEC. So you guys don't have to worry about the design. That's why we are infinite banking practitioners, or we're getting our certifications, one or the other, if you're on the money multiplier team. We deeply, deeply follow and give homage to R. Nelson Nash and his teachings. Like he's changed my life. He's changed thousands of people's. I've directly helped lives. Anthony's got it right. That is the IRS, the 7-pay rule, right? That was actually put in place. Super fascinating history, give you it in 30 seconds. Back in the 70s, you guys might know who Ralph Nader is. One of the institutions came up with a study just saying whole life wasn't very transparent, how it worked, other things. And so a lot of people followed Nader. He put out an article, put out a few articles. 1979, 85% of Americans were using whole life as their savings vehicle and protecting their family, right? Protection, saving, all the guaranteed stuff I showed you. And it wasn't even necessarily specially designed, just regular whole life. By 1986, only 55% of Americans were using this. And now there's all these other confusing things out there saying it'll do better, outperform whole life. I think the jury has to be out because they've only been around for 20, 30, 40 years. So why wouldn't you do something that's been around for 200 years, longer than our tax code? And if I sound partial, it's okay. This is where I'm putting all my family money. So I'm really appreciative of all of you. I hope that helped. Any other questions? Otherwise, I'm wishing all of you a really exciting, fun journey. Remember, you just don't know this yet. If you don't know it yet, if you're already practicing it, go spread the word. Bring your friend next time. I look forward to being back here with you guys. We'll get those dates in the future. I'll be back here teaching this. You can check out my webinar every Thursday, Founding Fathers. I talk about something new every week, but it's always related to infinite banking and how you can take back control of your money by becoming your own banker. So be blessed. Thank you all. It was really fun. I'll see you guys next time.
All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. We're putting up tons of them, but I think if you like this one, you'll probably like that video as well. Not only that, I've got a book that I created, Mapping Out the Millionaire Mystery, where we actually show you what the wealthy do in the game they play with money. I want you to have that for free. And if you want to know about all my new videos coming up, click that alert button. Actually, smash that alert button, and you'll be notified every time we put a new video. So we'll see you on the next episode.